This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. The U.S. Supreme Court is hearing a case being closely watched for its possible impacts on tribal sovereignty. It involves a dispute between Washington State and a gas station on the Yakima Reservation. Esme Jimenez explains.
From outside, the Cougar Den looks like any other gas station. But the gas is actually a few cents cheaper. That's because Kip Ramsey, a Yakima tribal member who owns it, hasn't paid a fuel tax on the gas he's getting from out of state. The State Department of Licensing doesn't like that. They argue Cougar Den owes them $3.6 million in unpaid taxes and fees. The case started in 2013. Two lower courts in Washington already reviewed it and sided with the Yakima Nation. That's because they interpreted a special provision in the Yakima Treaty of 1855. This is called the right to travel provision, the ability to move goods across state lines without taxation. Robert Anderson is a professor and director of the Native American Law Center at the University of Washington School of Law.
Basically, back since the 1830s, the Supreme Court has routinely and repeatedly held that Indian treaties are to be understood as the Indians would have understood them at the time of the treaty.
12 other states have filed friend of the court briefs in support of Washington. Depending on how the High Court rules, those states may see changes with the tribal nations that have similar provisions, like the Nez Perce in Idaho and the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes in Montana. I'm Esme Jimenez in White Swan.
Montana's largest city has been without a clinic tailored to Native American needs for around 18 months, since the Indian Health Board of Billings abruptly closed services last year. As of this month, the city's Native population can seek medical assistance at the Urban Indian Health and Wellness Clinic. Yellowstone Public Radio's Kayla DeRoche attended the ribbon cutting at the new building and has more.
People crowd in the ramp leading up to the clinic door. Among them are some of the clinic's future employees. That includes nurse practitioner Nicole Turnsplenty. Her hope, and the hope of some of the other people responsible for forming and staffing the clinic, is that the center will give urban Indians top-notch medical care combined with empathy and understanding.
I think the importance of having a Native clinic is that cultural component. To feel comfortable, again, we represent 10% of the population, but at the same time, those services, you don't see that equal connect.
She says good treatment is about meeting people where they are and addressing their individual challenges in treating their chronic conditions, especially those found in high rates among Native Americans, such as diabetes and hypertension. Turnsplenty also points to access to care as a priority. That's something that Leonard Smith, the clinic's interim executive director, says can be a struggle in the city.
Well, a lot of the urban Indians in Billings really don't have access to the kind of health care that they need. You know, they either don't have insurance or either not signed up for Medicare or they don't have transportations back to their reservations.
Smith says for now the clinic offers primary services and will expand as the months go on. They're organized under the Native American Development Corporation, which Smith directs. He says in the future, the clinic could partner with other groups in the community and offer services to other populations besides Native Americans. For National Native News, I'm Kayla DeRoche in Billings.
And I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced at the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios by Kawanak Broadcast Corporation. Funding is by Odawi Law Group, provider of Indian law solutions, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, with support from the Public Radio Satellite System.
As an American Indian or Alaska Native, you help elders, young people, and Native businesses when you exercise your right to vote November 6th. Your vote makes a difference in Washington, D.C. and at home. Go to nativevote.org for more information. Brought to you by Kawanak Broadcast Corporation. Support by BNSF Railway Company. BNSF honors the commitment of armed forces members and is a top employer for U.S. military veterans, hiring over 9,000 veterans since 2005. More at jobs.bnsf.com.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.